The host's expression froze. The tension in the room skyrocketed. Nobody had expected her to flip the narrative so boldly, and now the spotlight was firmly on him. The stakes had just reached a breaking point. The room went completely silent. The host, clearly caught off guard, struggled to regain control of the conversation. His smirk was gone, replaced by a tight-lipped expression that betrayed his discomfort. "Now hold on," he stammered. "I'm just doing my job, asking the tough questions." The businesswoman leaned back, calm and composed, as though she had been waiting for this exact moment. "And I'm just answering them with the truth," she said firmly. "The real question is why you think it's acceptable to tear down people who look like me for simply succeeding." The audience erupted into applause, some even standing as they cheered. The host tried to interject, but his words were drowned out by the overwhelming response. Then came the twist. Just as the noise began to settle, the businesswoman turned directly to the cameras. "And for anyone watching who's ever doubted themselves because of people like this," she said with a steady gaze, "remember this moment. No one gets to define your worth." It was a mic drop moment. The host sat there speechless, realizing he had completely lost control of the narrative. And just like that, the interview that had started as an attempt to humiliate her had turned into a viral, inspiring statement about resilience and strength. As the applause finally died down, the businesswoman took a moment to collect herself. She had come into this interview prepared for hostility, but left having made a statement that resonated far beyond the studio walls. The host, clearly defeated, wrapped up the segment with forced politeness, his usual bravado nowhere to be found. What happened next was nothing short of remarkable. Clips of the interview spread like wildfire across social media, with viewers praising the businesswoman's grace under pressure and fearless clapback. Her words had become a rallying cry for anyone who had faced unfair criticism while pursuing success. In the end, she didn't just defend her business. She became a symbol of strength and dignity. And while the host's attempt to humiliate her faded into irrelevance, her powerful message lived on. Sometimes the best response to adversity is simply standing tall and speaking your truth. A tense moment on live TV turns into an unforgettable lesson in strength and dignity. Picture this: a well-known talk show host, infamous for pushing boundaries, sets his sights on a Black businesswoman who's worked hard to build her brand. From the start, you can tell he's out for blood, tossing loaded questions and trying to humiliate her in front of millions. But here's the twist. Instead of folding under pressure, she keeps her cool and delivers a comeback so sharp it leaves the entire audience speechless. What happens next not only flips the conversation, but sparks a viral moment that has everyone talking. Stay tuned, because you won't want to miss how this inspiring story of grace and resilience unfolds. The talk show host, known for stirring up controversy, had built a reputation on sensational interviews designed to rattle his guests. Today was no different. From the moment the cameras rolled, it was clear he was aiming to discredit the businesswoman sitting across from him. She was elegant and composed, a picture of professionalism, but you could sense the tension as the questions became more personal and pointed. Instead of focusing on her impressive achievements, creating a thriving business from scratch in a highly competitive industry, he chose to dwell on stereotypes and dismissive remarks, subtly undermining her success. The audience shifted uncomfortably, unsure of what would come next. But the businesswoman remained calm, her expression unwavering. With each insult, it seemed as if she was quietly calculating her next move. You could feel it in the air. Something powerful was coming, and no one was prepared for what she was about to say. The host leaned forward, a smug grin spreading across his face as he interrupted her mid-sentence. "But do you really think people take businesses like yours seriously?" he asked, his tone dripping with condescension. Some audience members gasped softly, while others sat frozen, unsure whether to cringe or lean in closer to see what would happen next. The businesswoman didn't flinch. She took a slow breath, the hint of a smile flickering across her face. Her composure was unnerving, especially to the host, who clearly expected his guest to fumble under the pressure. The tension thickened as he pressed on, trying to control the narrative. "You built this company, sure," he sneered, "but wouldn't you say it's more luck than actual skill?" He chuckled, glancing around for validation. The room fell silent. You could sense that everyone was waiting, holding their breath, for her response. And when she finally spoke, her voice was steady, deliberate, and razor-sharp. The businesswoman leaned forward ever so slightly, her calm demeanor steady despite the host's continued jabs. The audience was hanging on to every word, unsure whether this would turn into a disastrous meltdown or a triumphant moment. "You know," she began, her voice measured but confident. "It's interesting how people confuse luck with hard work, especially when it comes to women like me." Her eyes locked onto his, unwavering. "I didn't just build a business. I built a legacy despite obstacles you couldn't begin to imagine." The host's grin faltered, but he quickly masked it with another dismissive laugh. "A legacy, huh? Some might say that's an exaggeration." She didn't budge. "What some people say is often based on what they refuse to understand," she countered smoothly. The air in the studio was electric. Everyone could feel it. The tables were turning, and it was clear this was far from over. The host's confidence was clearly shaken, but he wasn't ready to back down just yet. Sensing he was losing control, he decided to take a different approach. "Well," he said with forced charm, "there are always whispers about how businesses like yours get special treatment. You know what I mean." He leaned back smugly, as if he'd landed a winning blow. The audience shifted uncomfortably. It was a loaded insinuation, one designed to undermine her achievements without outright accusations. For a moment, silence filled the room, thick and heavy. Everyone watched, waiting for her reaction. But instead of getting defensive, she smiled. "Special treatment," she repeated slowly, her voice calm but unmistakably sharp. "Do you mean like the kind of shortcuts people in your position take to maintain power? Or something else?"